About a month ago, I spoke about my experiences with Destiny 2. I really liked the game, but I thought it could have been a bit more newcomer-friendly. The reason I started playing D2 in the first place was because I was frustrated with the first game's small player base, which made certain things really difficult. But after putting in around 100 hours into Destiny 2, I thought I'd revisit the first game, see if I could brute force my way into enjoying the more multiplayer-centric elements. I also got this for the PS4, my own copy of the game. I've been borrowing the Taken King off someone for years, so it's nice to have one for myself that I can take to bed with me. Ironically, I've now spent more time in Destiny 1 than 2, but that doesn't mean I've had the best of experiences. After Bungie wrapped up their work on the Halo franchise, they wanted their next big franchise to be different. They planned to create a fantasy game, the working title being Dragon Tavern. But the allure of sci-fi was irresistible, so as a compromise, Bungie combined the genre with fantasy to create mythic sci-fi, a subgenre combining the hallmarks of both to create something rather unique. In 2007, a $500 million publishing deal was brokered between Bungie and Activision. The deal set to last 10 years. Despite Bungie deciding upon a definitive art style, Destiny's gameplay was ever-changing. It flipped between third and first person, which is eerily similar to the indecisiveness they had during the development of Halo CE. It is no secret that Destiny's launch was bare bones and disappointing. It is hard to have sympathy for Bungie after so many of their games endured some of the most hellish stress and crunch. Halo CE, Halo 2 and Destiny were positively nightmarish to work on, as their respective release dates grew nearer, the only difference being Bungie managed to come together and launch Halos 1 and 2 in feature-complete states, at least from a surface level. Did they manage this for Destiny? Not so much. Bungie couldn't decipher precisely what they wanted Destiny to be, unable to decide upon gameplay mechanics even when the game launched. They just crossed their fingers and hoped for the best. The original campaign and plot was deleted as management was dissatisfied with the quality of storytelling, so they threw the actual writers out and replaced them with game designers, giving us a story written without writers. The initial plot would have been quite different from the final game. Your ghost's role was greatly reduced, and you'd spend most of your time accompanied by a character named Crow. Crow was featured in the finished product as a side character that appears in a couple cutscenes, but he became a pivotal character in Destiny 2's overarching narrative. Regardless of Destiny 1's troubled development, the game released on the 9th of September 2014 for the PS3, 4, Xbox 360 and One. An exclusivity deal was struck between Bungie and Sony, granting PlayStation consoles exclusive content over the Xbox. Strangely, there was never a PC port. Turns out Bungie never planned on putting the game on PC to begin with. Former Bungie CEO Pete Parsons stating in an interview that it was already hard enough getting the game on 4 consoles, especially getting Destiny functioning on the PS3's obtuse hardware. And unfortunately for me, the PS3 was the way I first fully experienced the game after spending a short time with it in January 2016 on the PlayStation 4. It has aged poorly. The extended load times and frequent connection dropouts ruin the experience. It runs at sub 720p and has plentiful audio sync issues. It couldn't be more obvious that the game wasn't intended for 7th generation hardware. I do not know what I was thinking playing this version over the PS4. I thought for the benefit of this review I'd start a new game and create a new character from scratch. We're given the choice of 3 Guardian classes: Titan, Hunter, and Warlock. I'm going to go for Hunter this playthrough, make a change from my usual Titan. To accompany the 3 classes, you're given the option between 3 species: Human, Awoken, and Exo. These make no difference to your character, aside from how they'll look. Beginning in the desolate and windswept wasteland of the once great and bountiful Russian Cosmodrome, the site of humanity's achievements concerning space travel and colonization, we're introduced to the Fallen, scavenger pirates, and the most common enemy type in Destiny. We're then met with our trusted companion, our ghost. It finds us amongst the centuries-old wreckage and revives our corpse. Apparently we've been dead for a long time, and this is where the story Welcome to the portion of the video where Killbot tries to summarise Destiny's plot. It is going to suck. Our ghost helps us find a ship as we flee fallen forces and arrive in the last city. Here we speak to some characters with dialogue that goes entirely unvoiced. We go back to the Cosmodrome, scan some shit, return to the city and speak to Bill Nye, the actor guy. Back to the Cosmodrome, our ghost scans some more stuff. On to our next mission, our objective? Shoot some guys and scan shit. Gee, I really hope they shake up the mission variety. What are we up to next? Well, the next level has us visiting the moon. Awesome! I'm a big moon fan. What do we do on the moon? Scan shit. Here we encounter a mysterious exo-stranger that spouts some enigmatic nothings before disappearing. Then it's off to Venus. Why? Because the stranger left behind some coordinates. On Venus, we scan a thing, battle some new enemies called the Vex, and are once again visited by the exo-stranger. Maybe she'll finally shed some light on what exactly is going on.
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
She asks if we know anything about the Black Garden. Naturally, we don't have a clue what she's talking about.
Have you heard of the Black Garden?
We've heard the legends.
What? Excuse me? No, we haven't. You don't speak for me. I've been dead for 700 years. Regardless, the stranger tells us to go there and kill an unnamed threat, so that we can heal the Traveler, the big ball that gives us our superpowers. I guess he's feeling poorly. Here we meet the blue-skinned, glowy-eyed folk. Why do they look like that? Beats me. They unwillingly agree to help us enter the Black Garden if we bring them the head of a Vex Gatelord. We agree to this because we're stupid and have no idea what Vex Gatelord even is. We kill the Gatelord, return with its head.
We need to find the Black Garden.
They don't even know where it is.
Man, I don't even know where I am right now. Unlucky for us, the component contained within the head that's required to access the Black Garden is dead. Regardless, the Queen takes pity on us because she likes our moxie and tells us where the entrance is. The significance of the Gatelord's head being lost on me, I don't understand. The thing I need to use to enter the Black Garden is broken, but it'll work anyway. This makes no sense. The gateway to the Black Garden is hidden on Mars. Upon our arrival, we're ambushed by the Cabal, which remind me an awful lot of Quake 2's Strogg. Traversing the Cabal's exclusion zone, we finally cross into the Black Garden. We fight waves of Vex known as the Sol Divisive and reach the final boss. Yep, this is the final mission of the vanilla campaign. Been quite the journey, ain't it? After murdering 3 big statues, we explode a big evil black blob thing and the day is saved.
We're back on Mars. The shroud of darkness is lifting, and light returns to the traveler.
These guardians show us what we are, what we have always been, and what we will be again. We are what remains of the light.
Why is everyone celebrating? What did I do? The story is like Lovecraftian horror. It's beyond human comprehension.
There's so much more, Guardian. I've seen terrible things born out in the darkness. Every moment brings them closer. All ends are beginnings.
What the hell?
All ends are beginnings. All ends are beginnings. All ends are beginnings. All ends are beginnings. The vanilla campaign is pitiful, short, repetitious, and nonsensical. I still cannot explain what, why, or how, and where things happen. The story is unlike anything I've seen. It borderline doesn't exist, yet it treats itself with an unfounded reverence. There's no real characters, no stakes, or structure. It is a narrative with no obvious beginning, middle, or end. You could get away with such minimal storytelling in a game in the 1990s, but not a AAA game from 2014. It refuses to explain anything. It feels like the second game in a franchise. I did some homework and discovered that Destiny's lore is genuinely awesome, and I'm a big sci-fi fan. Tragic that the game designers decided it would be best not to include any of the actual lore in the game, instead believing it was a better idea to put all the lore inside your phone. The campaign does improve towards the end, with more complex mission objectives that don't consist of standing around waiting for your ghost to scan something. And the way the story is told becomes a smidge more sophisticated. The cutscenes set in the Reef are decent, containing some actual conflict which the rest of the campaign lacks. You really do need some semblance of a goal to motivate you. At least D1's gunplay is great, and is one of the few things that hold the vanilla campaign together. Insane to think that this is all there was in terms of single-player content in the game at launch. The other thing holding D1 together is the epic soundtrack that comes standard with Bungie games. And obviously Bungie knew this, as the music was centerpiece during the marketing, with Paul McCartney getting involved in creating some of the main motifs heard in the game, the work being collected in a musical foundation named Music of the Spheres. He also made the song Hope for the Future, which on the surface appears kinda stupid, but it's frickin' epic. I suppose McCartney was a Beatle, so how likely was it actually gonna suck? Beatles are cool. 2 months later, Destiny's first expansion, The Dark Below, released. This was only a minor improvement in mission design over the vanilla campaign. Our quest giver is Eris Morn, and she's perhaps the first character in the game with the semblance of a personality. Just don't take a shot every time she says the word Crota. That's a dangerous game. Dark Below is rumoured to have been made in just 9 weeks, which I can believe. It is still highly simplistic, but at the very least, mission objectives don't boil down to just scanning stuff. The ensuing expansion is another step forward in quality and complexity. The House of Wolves sees us tasked with hunting down a rogue fallen captain named Skolas that has betrayed the Reef. The idea being reinforced by characters over comms that Skolas has gone utterly insane. But we're never once shown this. That's because the way the story is conveyed is still exceptionally primitive and by and large non-existent.
We have slain his brood. We have murdered his son. And now the Taken King comes for us all.
In 2015, just over a year after the game came out, the Taken King expansion dropped. This is where Destiny finally realised its potential.
Give your will to me!
The story can actually be followed. There's cutscenes, some of which are even pre-rendered. Plus, those lazy guys that stand around the big table inside the tower actually get lines of dialogue. It was here I realised that Destiny could be really engaging, with varied mission objectives. My only impression of the series for years was purely the obviously rushed vanilla campaign and undercooked DLC.
Stand with me, Guardian. Prove yourself worthy, and the Iron Lords will rise again.
The final expansion, Rise of Iron, is fine, albeit a vastly better DLC when compared to the Dark Below and House of Wolves campaigns. I couldn't help but feel a little underwhelmed. It didn't offer much that wasn't in the Taken King, the primary location being comprised of mostly redecorated environments found in the Cosmodrome. It wasn't as long as the Taken King either, and I haven't been overly impressed with the post-completion quests, although that can apply to most expansions. One of Destiny's defining qualities is the PvE and PvP content. I've spent much of my time in PvE related missions, but I had never once actually attempted the PvP multiplayer, which is known as the Crucible. I struggled to get a game going going at first, but going down to the featured game mode of the week, I got a 2v2 match started within a minute. It may take a wee while to find a match, but the multiplayer is still quite active. Considering this was my very first attempt at D1's multiplayer, it went pretty well. Still lost, but I had fun. I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as sweaty as I thought it was going to be going in. I was able to hold my own, which shouldn't be too shocking considering I've put hundreds of hours into Halo's multiplayer, which Destiny shares a lot of its DNA with. There are a few hub areas for players to visit. The one you'll likely be spending the most time in is the Last City's Tower on Earth. Here you can acquire bounties, purchase items from vendors and kiosks, earn faction rewards, and hang out with your fellow Guardians. The 5 planets and locations you'll traverse on your journey are all unique from each other and are fun to explore, not to mention the numerous aliens that populate them, all having their own distinctive gameplay styles that you'll learn to adapt to. The Hive are my favourite of all the enemies in the game. Visually, the game has aged gracefully over the last 11 years. It is still one of the best looking games of all time, no doubt about it. The 30 FPS cap works shockingly well in D1. Bungie mastered 30 frames. Their use of motion blur is very unique, as instead of blurring the entire screen, it only blurs the edges, leaving the centre clean. The post-processing effects are a major contributor to Destiny's visual identity, and it's a shame they're so toned down for D2. The lens flares were among the first things I noticed when the game originally released. They're very similar to Halo 4's lens flares, which makes sense considering both games use a modified BLAM engine. I prefer the art direction here over Destiny 2's. It's much more understated, more muted colours and grounded weapon designs. It isn't unlike Star Wars in that Destiny is a used universe, mostly because that's exactly what it is. Everything appears worn out and aged, whereas much of D2's locations, armour and weapons are the polar opposite. Very shiny and new, which is far less appealing. D1 has something I'd like to call ambient wonder, which is a highly unique ambience limited to Bungie games, beginning with the first Halo, I'd say. The Cosmodrome being my favourite environment to explore. Destiny 2 kind of fumbles this, as that game is significantly more bombastic with its orchestral score that permeates almost every environment. That's not to say that it doesn't feature any ambient wonder. The European Dead Zone faithfully lives up to it, but that could have something to do with how the EDZ was originally intended to be featured in D1. Destiny 2 changed things that didn't need changing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What makes Destiny easier to revisit than the sequel is that progression is clear. D2 just kind of throws you in at the deep end. However, the lack of fast travel, only being able to land in a single area, and the inability to view the map once you've landed is irritating. Destiny 2 definitely refined that, but ruined the rest of the director. The way quests are selected in D1 is far more intuitive than the horrible fuckus that is D2's. Gutted that there isn't more infusible gear. I hate having to leave behind cool looking guns and armour because their attack and defence levels are too low. Most of the equipment capable of infusion comes in the late game. As for the late game, the content isn't great. A lot of it is just performing tedious tasks whilst patrolling, hoping a certain enemy will spawn, or scouring the map for tiny little rocks and spores. It is supremely grindy. There are times I truly feel like my progress plateaus because I just can't move forward in any meaningful way. Destiny can suck with a capital K if you play alone. D1 is still populated by a lot of players, but it's not enough to make strikes fun or even playable at times. Given how tough they can be, I typically don't even bother with them because I know I won't enjoy it, and the chances of another Guardian showing up is slim to none. And by not completing these strikes, I can't unlock new quests, meaning I'm at a standstill, and I still haven't even bothered with raids. From what I understand, they're even harder than strikes. On top of that, I've been having a lot of connectivity issues, getting disconnected from the game world mid-strike, which is unbelievable. unbelievably infuriating. It's clear that the game didn't live up to what Bungie and even fans envisioned for Destiny. That's likely why Destiny 2 even happened. D1's reputation being tarnished by that infamous launch. Destiny 2's expansions do far surpass D1's in terms of story and mission design, the Witch Queen expansion being one of my absolute favourite Destiny expansions, but the gameplay doesn't feel as satisfying. There's a case to be made in defence of games running at 30 frames. It isn't some unplayable limitation that many believe it to be. An unfortunate side effect of 60 FPS is that it can feel rather weightless and lack a certain heft and punch that 30 offers. That weightiness is absent from D2. Obviously, 60 FPS is better, and there are plenty of FPS games that run at the speed and manage to retain a sense of poundage. Between Destiny and Destiny 2, I think the original is the better game. I still stand by the 4-star rating I gave D2, it's damn good. But Destiny feels like the more satisfying of the two. I can respect that given Bungie's track record for deleting and sunsetting huge swaths of Destiny 2, at least everything in D1 is still present and accounted for. Unless you're Peter Dinklage, then you're gone. Thus making it a more fulfilling and comprehensible experience. I wish I'd been more into it back when it was the only Destiny game to exist. D1's limited player base causing the punishing strikes and raids to suffer, as they're evidently not designed to be played alone. I'm nostalgic for Destiny, even though I technically didn't play much of it. I'm upset I missed its heyday, like I did for most Bungie titles, but it does take me back to the mid-2010s, which I think were a great time for games. And I thought that back then too, it's not just nostalgia goggles. There was everything Arcane was putting out, Fallout 4, Star Wars Battlefront, yeah I know, shoot me you'll miss, Doom and Wolfenstein reboots. It was a fantastic time to be an FPS fan, which was precisely me. The first few years of the PS4 were awesome, which is probably why the PS5 isn't gonna have quite as fond a recollection in a few years. I reckon we were kinda spoiled 10 years ago. Destiny gets 4 stars. It could have been higher if it weren't for the primary campaign being so weak and the online not being as active as it once was. I can tell that this is a game I'm going to spend the rest of my life regretting not having been an active member of at its height. Well, now, seeing as though I've mastered both the Titan and Hunter classes, it's time to master the Warlock class, but not in Destiny, in real life. So let's see if the minutes of practice are finally going to pay off. I'm going to manifest a step ladder. Right, here we go.